All right, what's happening, Charlotte Touchdown Club members and party people? Mick Mixon, Jim Szoke's just off camera to my right, to your left. We cannot wait to get this thing started with one of the most famous sports figures in the history of the Charlotte Touchdown Club, Joseph William Namath, scheduled to join us shortly. So we'll start in about 10 minutes, and John Rocco, our grand illustrious potentate, has authorized me to tell you, to implore you, to be sure you participate in the Broadway ticket raffle. There are some tickets remaining. Once we get going, you can hit the link on your screen, sign up, and you'll be virtually guaranteed by the miracle of arithmetic to win some kind of prize one way or another. So thanks a lot, and we'll see you back on here in just a few minutes.
This is a special event. It is the Heisman Trophy of defense. It is the award that gives back to a side of the ball that doesn't get as much glory. Thank you, Charlotte.
What a high level of excellence Bronco Nagurski brought to the game. He's an inspiration to anyone who loves the game of football.
My football story is not about playing for the Carolina Panthers. My football story is from the time I was 5 years old. All I ever wanted to do was play for Wayne Hills High School in northern New Jersey.
I was a part of something, and the purpose of what we were working for was greater than any one of us.
We come out every day to compete, and the only way we can get better is we, compete against each other hard.
It's important to note that sometimes the signs that we ask for are right there in front of us. Win or lose, there was always a message in there. It's about what we do with the adversity we face.
You can have a dream, but you better be prepared for that opportunity.
It's a lot of hard work. I mean, it's nothing is given. I mean, you have to earn everything.
I'm honored to be here today. You do such wonderful work. The funds you raise for scholarships around the area, that's wonderful.
A very heartfelt thank you to members of the Touchdown Club for your support of 16,000 plus students who you all are impacting annually. Studies show that GPAs and graduation rates are higher, absences and dropout rates are lower.
What I've learned in my life is you can accomplish anything in this world. If you want to do something bad enough, you'll find a way.
But it's important that everybody in this room and beyond understands that it starts with us. You see these kids on the come up, you gotta let them know.
Football was a gladiator sport. Only gladiators played football.
Tonight, you are going to get a glimpse of excellence of our finalists and what they have brought to this game. Their dedication, passion, and brute strength, along with their ability to make key plays during crucial moments in big games.
The Football Writers Association of America and the Charlotte Touchdown Club are proud to present the 2020 Bronco Nagurski Trophy to Zaven Collins from the University of Tulsa.
Thank you to the Football Writers Association for presenting me this trophy and selecting me to be a Nagurski winner. Thank you to Charlotte Touchdown Club and Lending Tree for entrusting with me and putting my name on the trophy. It really means a lot to me.
Him winning this award is just a tribute to him, his family, our program, this university.
Growing up around the game, I have a deep and abiding respect for those who have paved the way. Bronco Nagurski was a true pioneer of our game.
With the challenges of a virus gone viral, the Carolina Panthers, the National Football League, the Charlotte Touchdown Club could easily have just gotten in a bunker, called a timeout, and tried to wait until things calmed down. But that would have dishonored this unbelievable game of forward progress, a warrior game, a game played by proud individuals and coached by proud individuals as well. Welcome to a special day. My name is Mick Mixon. I work with the Carolina Panthers. My broadcast partner Jim Szoke also joins us here, and together Szoke and I will have the honor of interviewing shortly Szoke, one of the most iconic players of all time. I think you're old enough, I know I am, where Joe Namath caught you right in the wheelhouse of your young adulthood.
It's one of the legendary names, iconic players in the history of the NFL to have Joe Namath joining us, and we'll do that in a couple minutes, obviously, as we roll through our program today. But it's also draft day. We'll talk about Joe's impact. He got drafted in 2 leagues, NFL and AFL, back in the day, but the Panthers with the 8th pick in the draft tonight. So football feels very much back right now. We got stuff like the NFL draft happening tonight in Cleveland, and it'll be exciting to see Trevor Lawrence going to Jacksonville, obviously, and what the Panthers are going to do with that 8th pick.
Joe Namath was the 12th overall pick in the draft, so the Panthers picking at 8 could end up with a gold jacket type of talent. We shall see. All right, Szoke, we got the Broadway ticket raffle that is ongoing, and what can our viewers and members of the Touchdown Club have a chance to win today?
Yeah, this will be on your screen. You can look and see the connection for this, but there's still a few more tickets that are available to enable us to award all 10 prizes. And attached is the list of prizes and details that you'll see here, and you'll all be able to click the link on the screen and participate, and you can just kind of read through and see all the different prizes that are still available there for that drawing to be held on April the 30th at 10 a.m., so keep that in mind. And we begin basically a new season of Luncheon series, so you saw a little promo of what's coming up with the Panther one coming up May the 27th. Greg Olson, Luke Kuechly, Thomas Davis, and that'll be the first in-person one as we all kind of gather again and get back together with that. Will be a lot of fun. Mike Singletary, the former Chicago Bear great and former coach, is scheduled for June, and Phillip Rivers will be sometime this fall. That's just among some of the names that'll be coming up this year. And for those of you, too, because we appreciate your support with the Charlotte Touchdown Club, there are opportunities as well to be sponsors with some of the awards, including the Bronco Nagurski Awards banquet, also the High School Coach of the Year Award, Carolina Panthers Community Impact Player of the Year Award, and the Luke Kuechly High School Defensive Player of the Year Award. Who wouldn't want to have their name attached to some of these great awards that will be given out throughout the year?
Excellent. All right, it's all going to be fantastic, and we're all excited that the Luncheon Series is returning and returning in a big way. All right, our president, the commander-in-chief, is going to introduce himself. You may not know that Andrew is an attorney specializing in construction litigation, West Virginia University law, and our president is here now with a brief welcome message.
Good afternoon. My name is Andy Colacerto, and I'm the president of the Charlotte Touchdown Club. And on behalf of the club, I'd like to thank all of you for being here today to kick off the 2021 season with New York Jets legendary quarterback Joe Namath. Where to start? The last year has been trying on everyone, professionally, personally, and socially. Today, although we're not yet back together in person, it's starting to feel like we're making steps to return to normal. The last year has been a challenge for the club, continuing to support our mission and our obligations to the community without the benefit of any events caused us to improvise the same way so many of you have adapted your own businesses. And I'm happy to report we're pushing forward, and we are stronger today as a result of the trials and tribulations of the past year. Obviously, it would not have been possible without the help and support of the club's sponsors. Undoubtedly and undeniably, there's only one reason we're still standing, and that is because the club's sponsors stepped up and supported this club when many were facing uncertainty of their own. So let's not mince words. We are eternally grateful. Through the support of our sponsors, I'm very proud to pass on that since the club's inception, nearly $3 million has been raised and donated to this community. With your continued support, we will continue to serve those in need. Now, back to today. What an incredible honor it is to have Joe Namath in the house with us, a cultural icon, a football legend, here to share his history and experiences during a Hall of Fame career. Today's luncheon, which is sponsored by Hickory Tavern and Char Bar 7, is only the beginning. We have an exciting year lined up, including Panthers greats and club supporters Greg Olson, Luke Kuechly, and Thomas Davis. We have football great Mike Singletary, as well as Shane Beamer from the University of South Carolina as our Bronco Nagurski keynote speaker. We're looking forward to a great year. So again, thank you all for your continued support, and we anxiously look forward to seeing you all in person as soon as possible. But in the meantime, enjoy Broadway Joe.
Thank you, Andrew, for those words. And so much happens behind the scenes. You know, we see the pomp, the circumstance, the banquet, the Nagurski thing. It's all a blast. But behind the scenes, the Charlotte Touchdown Club's mission remains a noble one, and there is no reason why they cannot be undefeated in the mission that they are dedicated to. So rather than you hear about that from Jim Szoke and myself, now please direct your attention to a couple of inspirational testimonials.
Hi, I'm Nelson Garner, Director of Athletics for Union County Public Schools. Here in Union County, we feel so fortunate to have a relationship with the Touchdown Club. When it comes to education-based athletics, they share and understand our mission of developing leaders for tomorrow and using athletics as a platform to do that. From their many programs, including the Leadership Forum, the scholarship programs, the opportunity for our student athletes to interact each year with the Bronco Nagurski finalists, these are all opportunities that reinforce the values that we try and teach each day. We're also very appreciative of their financial generosity to our schools each year. That's never been more important than it has been in the past year, and we're so grateful and look forward to the relationship continuing for years to come.
Good afternoon. My name is Chad Duncan, and I'm the Director of Athletics for Gaston County Schools. The relationship between Gaston County Schools and the Charlotte Touchdown Club has been one that our Gaston County schools are truly appreciative of. Whether it be the truly fantastic leadership lunches with fantastic speakers, scholarship opportunities for our schools and student athletes, or the whole Bronco Nagurski Awards experience, the Charlotte Touchdown Club has done an exceptional job of reaching out to our schools and supporting them in more ways than most people know. With the assistance of the Charlotte Touchdown Club, our schools and student athletes have been provided numerous opportunities and exposure that would probably not have occurred. During this very difficult time of the pandemic, the Charlotte Touchdown Club stepped up and assisted our schools with generous funds, and we truly appreciate it. With our gate funds being lower this year, obviously, we truly appreciate all of their assistance. Thank you very much, Charlotte Touchdown Club, for your support.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cameron Tripp, and I was the 2014 recipient of the Michael A. Kahn Community Service and Scholastic Scholarship Award. Before I get started on talking about what the award has meant to me and my family, I want to first give a special thank you to Mr. Michael A. Kahn and the Family Foundation, and as well as the Charlotte Touchdown Club. It was quite an honor to be present in 2014 at the Bronco Nagurski Awards ceremony and to receive the award from Mr. Roman Harper. Now, to discuss what the impact has had on myself and my family, I think it's been extremely long-lasting, and it spans over the last 7 years. So in high school, the award was extremely important to me because I thought it was the culmination of my family efforts and my personal efforts that culminated not only in the classroom, not only on the football field, but also in the community. Bettering my community and leaving a place that had done so much for me a better place than it was when I got there was extremely important. I was fortunate enough during my 4 years of high school to be involved in a variety of different nonprofits that were very important to myself and my family. Was able to be a 4-year football and basketball player at Piedmont High School in Monroe, North Carolina, and then was fortunate enough to attend Harvard and play on the football team there. The Scholastic and Scholarship Award was extremely important to me because it helped me during college stay very grounded in who I was and where I came from. It drove me to be involved in many community events and to help make Boston and Cambridge and the surrounding area a better community than it was when I got there. It helped me in driving to be the best me that I could be, both on the field, in the classroom, and in the community. I cannot be more grateful to Mr. Kahn and his family for their financial support, as well as their time and energy as we talk throughout the 4 years. Thank you very much.
All right, great to hear from everybody. And by now, I assume everyone's gotten lunch. I know it's a little different where we can't see each other and hear that clanking of the forks on the plates and the servers all walking around. But big thanks to Hickory Tavern and Char Bar 7 for delivering lunch to all of us today. So we really appreciate that. Always good food and a place that we support year-round. Great place to go watch the NFL draft tonight as well.
Absolutely. Szoke, let's talk about the legend of Joe Namath. Other than, I'm thinking back to the 60s, other than maybe Cassius Marcellus Clay predicting he would beat Sonny Liston, unheard of in a team sport was an athlete guaranteeing victory. Joe Namath saying, we're better than the Crew Cut Colts. We're going to whip them. I guarantee it. I mean, that to my little boy, I was 10 years old. I mean, that to me was it just captivated me, and that he backed it up meant even more. What do you remember about the start of his career?
Yeah, you're right. There's so few athletes that transcend sport to where everybody knows their name. Like you mentioned Muhammad Ali, Joe Namath would be in that category of athletes that just everybody knows who they are. And this is pre-cable and dish and all this. This is pre-internet. It's pre-everyone having a cell phone in their pocket. So think how hard that would be back in the day to be iconically known. And of course, we'll talk about this with Joe, but as a football player, but movies and TV, he actually did Broadway. Broadway Joe actually did some Broadway. I mean, he's done just everything that was kind of pop culture and sports related and was a bigger than life personality. And to have him here today, one of our guys behind the scenes said they did a little check-in with him earlier that the kind of got the goosebumps on the arm a little bit. It's like, that's Joe Namath. There's not a lot of people that make you think that way.
100%. And, Joe Namath, before the word swagger was even in our culture, he was that. And then before we have the highlight video, So much dissection now on the throwing motion, the angles of the arm and the release and all that. Could there have been a more poetic, a more beautiful release of the football than what came out of Joe Namath's right shoulder?
No, and you think the great Bear Bryant at Alabama said greatest athlete he ever coached was Joe Namath. And think of all the great ones that came through that storied Crimson Tide program. Won a national title there. As you mentioned, he was drafted in both the AFL, where he was the first pick overall by the Jets, 12th pick by the St. Louis Cardinals. Obviously chose to go initially with the AFL and the New York Jets. But wins a national title in college, wins a Super Bowl. He was the first player to do that, win a national title as a quarterback in both college and pro the way that he did. So we're not going to bore you with stats and numbers and things like that, but just to kind of give you a little history, because it's been so long in some cases for some folks, generations that have been born that don't maybe realize what he meant to the sport of football, both college and pro.
Somewhere in a closet, I still have that Sports Illustrated where he's on the cover as a Ram, and he finished up his career as a Ram, and what an incredible legacy he has had. So don't take our word for it. Let's take a couple of quick snapshot looks at the amazing career of one of the most famous football players of all time, Joseph William Namath. All right, it is that time. We welcome Joe Namath to the Charlotte Touchdown Club. Joe, my name is Mick, as in Mick Tinglehoff. This is Jim, as in Jim Kick, and it is our honor to speak with you. Where are we dialing you up from? Where are you now, and what is it? Give us some sense of what your 77-year-old life is like right now.
Well, I'm in Tequesta, Florida, right here on the East Coast. And I've been in this home of mine with my family, daughters. Of course, they live next door now. But I am here alone most of the time, with the exception of my couple of dogs and grandchildren. Right on the Loxahatchee River. Been living here for 32 years.
Well, it's great to hear your voice and to see you. I see you every day on TV. There's always a commercial or something, Joe, so I feel like you're always, throughout your entire career, now retirement, continue to be very involved. And does that take up a little bit of your time as far as doing some of the production and TV commercials and advertisements, those kind of things that you're doing?
Well, Jim, and thanks for mentioning Jim Kick, too, Mike. That he was an old buddy. I'm sorry he's not with us any longer, but he was a great guy, man. He and Zonka, you bring back some good memories. We used to run around a little bit together back in, old days, you might say. And all of a sudden, Jim, I forgot what you asked me.
I see you every day on TV doing advertisements for different things. Is that something that takes up and occupies quite a bit of your time, doing TV commercials and those kind of things today?
Well, it doesn't take a lot of time. I enjoy doing it. That's certainly a good product to help to a lot of people. But most of the time with this COVID that we've had for the last, 2 years we're going on here, and I haven't made a trip since December of 19. The last trip I had, I went up and watched the Alabama team play Arkansas, and then went up to Birmingham, and we had a special outing for our foundation and people in Birmingham. I flew back here and haven't been on a plane. It's the longest it's been since I was 18 years old.
Joe, you look great. You sound good. And we'll talk about your career in a bit more detail shortly. But did you leave this violent game? Did you leave the game with, I know you had some knee injuries, but did you leave it in pretty good shape physically?
Well, yes. I don't like to complain about things. I've been a healthy guy, and I just have had joint issues. The knees, I have artificial knees. I have both artificial hips. I've had operations on both of my wrists and hands. There's some aches and pains, but overall, I'm in good physical condition. I did have some concussions, of course, and had a lot of help from the people down here at the Jupiter Medical Center. We took a brain scan, and we saw what the problem was, and I started taking hyperbaric oxygen therapy. And it took me about 7.5 months to do 120 dives, and the cells in my brain that were dark on the scans that weren't getting the blood flow gradually lightened up and got blood flow. After 40 dives, you could see a marked difference. After 80 dives, my brain looked normal. After 120 dives, my brain looked normal. We went back and did another scan 2 years later, 3 years later, 5 years later, and it's a healthy brain. So I've been lucky, and I'm certainly a proponent of anyone that has ailments to try to get the hyperbaric oxygen therapy, because it's good for every cell in your body.
That's great for you to share that. That's probably very helpful for a lot of people that are watching this today to know that, Joe. And I joined you, by the way, in the hip replacement club just a few months ago, so I know what you went through. I was not as bad as the knee, from what I understand. Sports science has changed so much. I mean, back when you played, surgeries were so much more invasive with the cutting and all that. Do you marvel at someone like Tom Brady, who's 44 years old or so, playing at the level he's able to play and win a Super Bowl? Because the medicine has changed, nutrition has changed so much, but the world has changed so much that they're able to play so much longer now.
There's a couple of great subjects. You mentioned Tom Brady first, and we all know he's a unique man. He's done things certainly on the football field, and some great things off the field that no one's ever done before. Tom, with 7 championships under his belt, Super Bowls, that's a remarkable feat. And the conditioning that he's maintained over the years, and the league, again, the game, the sport has changed. The nutrition has changed. The working year-round has changed. The athletes are bigger, stronger, faster than ever before in all sports. And they work at it longer than we did back in the 60s. We'd have a football season, and after the season, we'd go home. We wouldn't start working out until maybe April or so. I'd go back to the University of Alabama. They let me use the facility there, and I'd get in condition better condition, getting ready for training camp. But the guys do it year-round today, all over. Every facility's wonderful form, and the coaches. You know, Jim, I went to the Jets. We had Weeb Eubank and 4 assistant coaches. I know with your Panthers, there are 2 assistants to the coaches and 27 or 25 other coaches on the staff. Yeah. The game has really evolved. It's so much better. The guys that do the coaching, and man, I used to watch our coaches at Alabama, and I used to do it myself, study films in high school on that 8mm projector, you know, taking the films down, splicing the film. And today there's so much more, I guess, able to delve into their jobs, and study the other teams, the opponents, study themselves more efficiently than ever before. It's been wonderful changes.
The great Joe Namath, Charlotte Touchdown Club guest today. Joe, we'll get into your career and your early career life a little bit more in a second, but here in Charlotte and all through where Panther fans live and follow the game, there's some interest in Sam Darnold, a former Jet that the Panthers traded for. What are your opinions about this trigger man and how he could fit into this Joe Brady coordinated offense here?
Well, number one, I like Sam Darnold. I've had the pleasure of being in his company over the last few years a few times, at least, and the players on the Jets certainly respected Sam. They liked the way he conducted himself, and they liked the kind of a teammate that he was there. Now, the Jets didn't have the top-notch material that you'd like to have, that every team would like to have, actually. Sam's supporting cast wasn't as gifted as some other teams, but Sam himself, he knows he needs to improve on a few things. I'm sure he wants to improve on his passing accuracy. Every quarterback wants to improve on their passing accuracy. Sam's played 3 years, and I try to think of myself, where was I in my 3rd year, and watching and how much we improved with the mental part of the game too. Sam will be with you guys for 15 years or so if Lady Luck stays on his side with injuries, you know. I believe that. And if he's not going to be with the Panthers, he'll be somewhere else. He's a fine player and a fine young man.
That's a great recommendation from Joe Namath, so we're excited to see him play in a Panthers uniform and see how it goes. We'll see if they pick up somebody in the draft that'll compete with him, but for now it's Sam Darnold. For you, you had an option. You came out at a very interesting time in league history where there was the AFL where you were the first pick with the Jets, of course. The NFL St. Louis Cardinals went with you as well. They were, I guess, the 12th overall pick for you, and you choose the Jets, obviously. But one of the things I read about you was that with St. Louis, one of your requests was you wanted a Lincoln Continental as part of your negotiating. Is that true?
You know what? I had a high school teammate and friend who went to West Texas State, and a couple of days before the draft, he asked me what kind of short you going to ask for, man? What kind of car are you going to ask for? And I said, I don't know. I talked to Coach Brian about what to ask for financially, but I didn't think about the car part. And he suggested, he said, oh man, those Lincoln Continental convertibles with the barn doors, they open up like that, man. He said, you need to get that car. And I didn't even see one, and I asked for it. I took my buddy's word for it. And the guys from the Cardinals, that the draft back then was big time different, Jim. Mike. I mean, it was on the radio, supposedly, but we didn't know in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. There were 3 TV stations at that time, ABC, NBC, CBS, and none of them carried the draft. I didn't get a call from anyone that had drafted me. What happened is the St. Louis Cardinals, a couple of days after the draft, showed up in the athletic dormitory at Alabama, where we were staying, the ball players, and I'm up in my room, and the intercom buzzes, "Hey, Namath, there's a couple of guys down here to see you. They say they're from the Cardinals." I said, "What?" Okay. So I went down and brought them up to my room, and that was the beginning of the negotiation with the Cardinals. They actually opened the briefcase and had the contract. First, they asked me what I was going to ask for, or what I thought I should get remuneration-wise, and I told them, I'll tell you guys, after the Auburn game, I was in the locker room with Steve Sloan, our quarterback, who had a knee like I had a knee, and I was putting his sock on, and Coach Bryant came over to us, and he looked down, he said, "Joey, you know, those guys are going to come and ask you about signing a pro contract." He said, "You have any idea what you're going to ask for?" I said, "Well, sir, Don Truell, who happened to be a fine quarterback and signed, I think, with the Oilers the year before." I said, "Well, Coach, Don Truell signed for $100,000 last year. I was thinking about asking for $100,000. And Coach Bryant took a big old long draw off of that Chesterfield, and he thought of me, he said, blew it out. He said, "Well, you go on and ask him for $200,000. That's a better place to start." So whenever they came up in the room and sat on my bed, and I sat on my roommate's bed, they asked me what I wanted. I said $200,000. And they acted like they had a stroke, heart attack, falling. They started going, "Oh my gosh, oh, he wants $200,000. And I said, "Sir, and the new car too." "Oh, he wants a new car." They're looking at each other, making me feel like, wow, I don't know what. I was feeling awful for asking. And he says, "What kind of car you want?" And I said, Lincoln Continental convertible." Oh, sure. He wants a Lincoln Continental convertible. Man, it was crazy. And the man pulled out the contract and wanted me to sign. I said, "No, sir, wait a minute." Coach Brown had told us, our team and the guys, we had a few guys that had a chance to sign a contract. He said, "Don't you guys take anything from any team." We had a bowl game coming up January 1st against the Texas Longhorns in the Orange Bowl on New Year's night, first night game that they played the bowl game. And Coach Bryan said, "I don't even want you taking Coca-Cola. Don't take anything from those guys. You're not allowed to. We got another game coming up." And so that was what I told the guys. I said, "Excuse me, I can't sign anything, man. We got a game coming up in January. I can't do that." So I didn't sign, and I figured out I needed help. So I called my buddy in Birmingham, a lawyer who was equipment manager on the Alabama baseball team and football team back in the 50s, the 1950s. He was under Red Drew as a coach, but he took over the talking to the teams after that.
Fantastic stuff. Joe, we've all seen, the boys of summer and heard the legendary stories about Bear Bryant and training camp and all that. What was that like? What was your relationship like with Coach Bryant?
Well, first of all, I did do some homework. I knew that Coach Bryant had two other former Western Pennsylvania quarterbacks. And I really believe that's how he did reach out to me in that area of the country. He had Vito Babe Pirelli, who was known as the Kentucky Babe at the University of Kentucky. And he had George Blanda, who was also at the University of Kentucky. So Coach Bryant, he knew some players from Western PA. He certainly, he coached at Maryland too and had some players there. And I was home in August. I didn't want to go to college. I wanted to play professional baseball, and I had an opportunity. But my mother wanted me to go to college. And gosh, August, there was a knock on the door. My mother and I are only two in the house. And I go open the door, and it's this guy standing there. And he introduces himself as Howard Schnellenberger, assistant coach, University, Alabama. I said, say that, sir, what? And I invited him in the house, and my mother and I sat down in the front room, the living room with him, and Howard was wonderful. You guys probably, I'm sure you know of Howard Schnellenberger. We lost him a short while back, too. He moved on to that big game somewhere else, man. But anyway, Howard convinced my mother that the University of Alabama and Coach Bryant really wanted her son to come down there, get an education, and play football. Boy, she went upstairs, packed me a suitcase you could put underneath the seat in front of you on a plane, you know? Packed me a suitcase, gave me a $5 bill, and hug and kiss, and said, Coach, you go ahead, you take him. And that's Howard and I flew to Tuscaloosa. I never had visited the campus prior to that, and it changed my life, of course. And getting to meet Coach Bryant for the first time was a rather unique situation, too. We got down to Tuscaloosa, and it was August already, so the team was full practice, and man, getting ready for the opener with Georgia. And Howard and Coach Bryant exchanged a few words. Coach Bryant was up on his tower where he could oversee a few different practice fields, the whole area. All of us, I learned, knew that his eyeballs were on us individually at all times. And the assistant coaches knew that too, really felt that way. So Coach Bryant and Howard said a few words, and Howard turned to me because I didn't understand what they said. And Howard said, go on up there. He wants you up there. I said, sir? He said, go on up, come on over here. Go on up, climb. And I climbed up the ladder to see Coach Bryant, and that's how I first met Coach Bryant. You know, he helped me through the last step and put the chain back on around the top. And we stood up there for maybe 5 minutes, whatever, and talked. I understood one word he said. He'd point down to the field and say, "Everybody will be a stud." Yeah, everyone, he was stud. Well, I could understand stud, but I didn't know what a stud was at the time. And it was a bit perplexing, but I knew Coach Bryant's reputation as a football coach. I was a fan, of course, and from Dave Pirelli and George Blandon, man, I knew how good a coach, or I didn't know for sure, but I had heard plenty of Coach Bryant, and he treated his players, demanded respect from his players for everyone else. You know, and the players Coach Bryant coached were respectful not only to Coach Bryant and the staff, but even off the field for the most part, or you didn't stay there. You got run off. A lot of the guys, my freshman class, there were 44 of us, I believe, and 11 of us left after 4 years. I mean, we're still there after the 4 years. The practices were hard and hot. Tuscaloosa, Alabama, in August. Hey, and it had a paper mill. There was a paper mill in town at Tuscaloosa that I was able to work at between my sophomore and junior year. I never smelled anything so putrid in my life. is that paper mill stuff coming down. You get used to it, but it was an awful odor. And I was really questioning whether I had done the right thing and coming down there, but I had to stick it out.
Long way from Pennsylvania. And you mentioned you had Major League Baseball offers. And were you not supposed to go to Maryland before you went to Alabama? Was that your first choice?
Yes, it was. Maryland had Tom Nugent there. And Tom Nugent put an I formation in, maybe when he was at Florida State or whatever. But he was a head coach at Maryland, and he loved to throw the football. He loved the wide open game. And Tom Nugent, he was quite a personality, man. He was terrific. It was only 300 miles maybe from my hometown, and there were a lot of guys there from Western Pennsylvania and Ohio, guys that I got to know after visiting Maryland. So yes, I wanted to go to Maryland ultimately. I visited schools all over the country, as far west as Arizona State and south to Miami and the Big Ten. But I settled on Maryland. I didn't score enough points, grade high enough on my college boards to get into Maryland. So Tom Nugent let Coach Bryant know that. You know, Coach Bryant, that was his first head coaching job at the University of Maryland after he came out of the military. I gather Tom Nugent called Coach Bryant and let him know that I was still out there. And so, boy, like I say, that knock at the door, Howard Schnellenberger was there, and I went on down to Tuscaloosa with him.
The start of NFL history and football history in a way that helped you rise to national prominence. Joe, why did you know?
You know I'm at home now. You can hear the guy with the blowing machine outside, right? I used to do that work until I couldn't. I had to get somebody to help me there. But that was the luckiest thing that one of them had ever happened to me. Getting to go to Tuscaloosa and be tutored, coached, taught by Coach Bryant and that staff, and the teammates that I had, man. All of them, you know, you're not going to please everybody all the time, and every football team has different personalities. And some guys might not even like the way you walk, talk, or whatever. But you do your best to be respectful with one another at least, and you can get accepted. You do your talking on the field for the most part, and that's what I did. And we had a good team. I was a freshman, and our varsity won the national championship that year. We had a terrific team. Leroy Jordan, you may remember, played with the Cowboys, a linebacker for 15 years or so. Billy Neighbors, all pro up there at New England, which was Boston Patriots at the time. We had we had the national championship team, and we freshmen had to practice against them every day. So that was a bit intimidating for some of us, but we learned from them.
Jim and I were talking before we connected up with you about your legendary, we're going to whip those crew cut Colts, I guarantee it. When did you realize that New York Jets team was a special group?
Well, we thought we were good going into the '68 season. That was my fourth season in the league. We had some veterans that were really good, and we had brought in some guys to make our team even better. We have one of the guys being inducted to the Hall of Fame this weekend, maybe. Or was it last weekend? Winston Hill, our offensive tackle. Don Maynard's in the Hall of Fame along with a couple of other Jets, Mawai and Curtis Martin and Coach Eubank. But we weren't far away in '67, you see. The '67 regular season, the game was so different back then. You know, I never took a snap in the shotgun position. You were always under center. So every pass you threw, you had to drop back that 8 to 10 yards, which is fine. The passing game was different, and in '67 we actually set a record for most yardage passed in a season, 14-game season, and rather than 16 games as today. And we knew we had a good team. We were gelling, especially toward the end of the season, man, the last part of it. So going into the championship season, we felt pretty good. And we won against the Kansas City Chiefs at Kansas City on opening day. You know, the first game of the season, we went down to Kansas City. And Kansas City, you know, had played in the championship game the year before that against the Packers, and they lost. But Kansas City was a heck of a team. They may have six guys off of that team that's in the Hall of Fame, off of that same team. But we went down to Kansas City, and Hank Stram was a real wonderful coach and a great character to see on that sideline. Anyway, we were winning 20-19 with 3.5 minutes left in the game. We're backed up on our own 1-yard line. They had Jan Stenerud as a kicker, who, you know, is a Hall of Fame kicker. We kept the ball for that 3.5 minutes. We run Matt Snell up the middle there, and we gained a couple of yards, missed Maynard on a quick slant, came right back to it, hit him. We held the ball for the rest of the game, 3 minutes and change, and beat Kansas City 2019. Man, that really propelled us into some confidence. We went up to Buffalo the next game, man. We're going to beat Buffalo. I throw 5 interceptions. I told a buddy of mine on the way to the game. He asked me, he said, what do you think about the game? I said, they got a rookie quarterback. They got a rookie quarterback. We have the best defense in the league. I said, how are they going to score? Well, I threw 5 interceptions. 2 or 3 were run back for touchdowns. And when my buddy picked me up at the airport to get back into Manhattan from LaGuardia, he said, oh, Joe, I found out how they could score. Well, naturally, our defense was a little bit upset. Our defensive coordinator, Walt Michaels, was really upset. And we had talk on the plane after that game. And we changed the game up a little bit. The game plan wasn't throwing as much. We didn't lose again until we played the Broncos in Shea Stadium. About our 6th game or something, but we didn't practice outdoors one time. We practiced in the hallways of the stadium, in the corridor, concrete, you know, and 20 feet between the walls. And about Thursday of that week, Friday of that week, Coach Eubanks standing there looking at practices. We're not ready, Joe. We're not ready. I said, oh, Coach, come on, man. We're ready. We're going to get them. I mean, Denver didn't have much. Well, I threw 5 interceptions that game, and we lost to Denver. We lost to the 2 last place teams in the league that season. We had 3 losses. The 3rd one was the Heidi game out in Oakland.
Right.
And that's when NBC took the game off the air late, and we were winning. And then a couple of things happened. We turned the ball over. Our receiver ball hit him, and they got it, whatever. The officials were so bad that game, our defensive coordinator went to the dressing room that they were in and knocked on the door. They wouldn't answer it. He knocked the door down. Walt Michaels. He was a terrific linebacker for the Cleveland Browns before he became a coach, and he ended up being the head coach of the Jets beginning in 1977. Yeah. So those 3 games we lost, and after beating Oakland in the championship game, man, because that was the toughest game I'd ever been in physically, and we won. You know, you get in a tough physical game, so before that, you lose a tough physical game. At least That was the toughest physical game that we had played in, or that I had ever played in, and got hit enough different ways, but we beat them. We beat them.
That's
and,
awesome.
We were ready to go to Miami in the championship.
And the rest is history. So, Joe, we'll just give you a few more minutes, but we would be remiss if we didn't ask a little bit about the Broadway Joe, part of the Joe Namath legacy. And as you look back at all the movies and the commercials and the TV shows, and filling in for Johnny Carson, Tonight Show, and the partying, I just kind of encapsulate all that together. Did you enjoy all of that? Did it ever get overwhelming to be Broadway Joe? Or what was it like? Because you're in the biggest city with the biggest spotlight, one of the biggest positions in the NFL, winning Super Bowls with the Jets. What was that like to be Joe and to have all that on your shoulders?
Yeah, it would have never worked had it not been for the president of the New York Jets team, a gentleman named Sonny, or David A. Werblin. Mr. Werblin, at one time, was he and Lou Wasserman controlled Music Corporation of America, the entertainment world out there in Los Angeles. And in fact, I first talked to the Jets. They flew my friend and attorney, Mr. Mike Bite, and I out to Los Angeles, to Beverly Hills, to the Beverly Hills Hotel, which I couldn't believe that place. I mean, it was just so beautiful, pink and green and trees and flowers and all. Mr. Werblin took us over to say hello to this actor named Ronald Reagan. We got to visit with Jane Whitman, another actor, an actress also. Mr. Werblin believed in the star system. He wanted football to have the star system. He wanted our team. He helped me get out front. I like to communicate, and Mr. Werblin was the first owner that I was aware of, or word got to me. I mean, football teams didn't invite the media out to the stadium for practice and give them donuts, coffee, and sandwiches at that time. You know, he catered to the media, and they started paying attention because, you know, the New York Giants ran the town, the football team. I mean, they and Bass and Nixon, but the Giants were terrific over the years. And Mr. Werblin in the AFL had to get it going, had to win New York over. And so they'd take me around town, Toots Shores restaurants, Club 21, the Broadway plays and all. And man, I'm looking at this Broadway play. Wow. I thought, I would love to do that someday. It was magic. The music. Anyway, it was because of the people that I was around. It wasn't because of Joe from Beaver Falls or what. I didn't have those dreams. I didn't have the kind of aspirations that would develop later because of meeting Coach Bryant. My high school coach was the man that really helped me develop as a quarterback with footwork and studying and all. Larry Bruno, he introduced me at the Hall of Fame, Professional Football Hall of Fame. But the other people, they got me going. And I've always liked to say I'm coachable. You know, help me if you can. And that's what happened in New York, man. And we won. We won the championship. And I know any city's got to crave winning the championship. I know your Panthers got there once and came close. But yeah, the fans are craving that championship. And before we run off, there was one coach with the Panthers that was one of my favorite people of all time, and his wife too. She helped me get through geography, science in college. Richard Williamson. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you guys go back that far to Richard, but Hard Down, his nickname was Hard Down. Hey, Hard Down. He was hard down, man. Anyway, Richard caught the first touchdown pass I ever threw on the varsity. And getting ready to visit with you guys, the Panthers, yeah, wow, Richard, you know. So thanks for bringing that memory back about Richard, too.
Yeah.
Joe, that's fantastic stuff. Let's end it with you right here. Families tend to fall into two categories, those that have been touched by alcohol and alcoholism and those that are going to be. And you've been open about your struggle there. Where would you rank your sobriety on a list of things that Joe Namath is proud of?
Proud's a word that, I don't know, growing up, we weren't allowed to be proud, so to speak. It was misunderstood to a degree. But, you can be proud of your children or proud of an accomplishment without going overboard. I'm thankful. I am thankful. I am lucky. I got an education. I went and reached out for help. We can all develop a problem, whether it's addiction to medications, whether it's addiction to alcohol. I've often said the two most addictive substances that are legal is sugar and nicotine. We could all cut back on the sugar and hopefully eliminate the nicotine. But I knew I needed help to get a different attitude to be able to stop drinking. I needed coaching. I needed guidance. And I recognized that after the incident in New York at a night game that the Jets had, whenever I was inebriated. And I embarrassed a young lady doing her job. So I came back home and I went to an institution, a center, and checked in, and I started learning about it. But I was determined for my children and hopefully grandchildren then at the time. It's been a good while. I was what you call a dry drunk when it came to drinking for 13 and a half years. I just quit. I just stopped because our first child was there, and my former wife said, "You have got to stop." And I didn't take it seriously for a year or so, but then she convinced me, and I stopped for 13 and a half years. And then I later found out in AA that I used a divorce, going through the divorce, as an excuse to go back to drinking. And then that's what it was, I guess, an excuse to go back and drinking. And I did that for a handful of years. But then again, the incident happened, and I just knew I needed to find out about it and stop. And I did, and I'm sober to this day. And when it comes to drugs now, I'm going to tell you, you guys know about this Oxycontin that's been out there and all. My last, I had a surgery on my wrist a while back, years ago now, and they gave me these Oxycontin pills, gave me 80 of them. 80. I came home here from the surgery. I took a pill. I'm walking outside and walking around my yard, and I'm thinking of things, man, that whoa, what is this? So 4 hours later, I got to take another pill. I take another one, and I found out that it was behaving different with me. It reminded me of morphine. My first knee operation, they gave me morphine, but they told me coming off the morphine, I might feel some pain in a sense of anxiety and frustration. Anyway, I did get off the morphine in the hospital whenever they asked me, but the Oxycontin was crazy. I was thinking while I'm walking around about things I never thought about. But I'm looking at my watch to see if it's 4 hours so I can take the next one. I took 79 of those pills. I went back to New York, went into the doctor's office, sat down with him, and I put that 80th pill on the table in front of us. I said, "Doc, don't ever give me one of those again." And I told him why, and he said, "Okay." Well, lo and behold, I went up again and had my other wrist operated on. And do you know what they gave me? The prescription. My daughter Jessica went and picked it up, came back. She said, Daddy, look what they gave you. 80 Oxycontin pills. So I told her, I said, you know what to do with them? She did. She went to the commode, poured them in the commode. I called the doctor and told him what happened. And that's when I learned, a lot of the system, they're so busy in a lot of places. They have so many patients sometimes. If somebody operates on somebody, it's a hip, a receptionist or whoever allocates what drugs they're going to get, the doctor just signs, just sign. It was automatic. So that's how I discovered, and I believe the system worked for a while until the Oxycontin industry, our government stepped in finally and straightened that out.
But
I'm sober and healthy. We're not taking any drugs and we're not drinking because I have 6 grandchildren, 2 daughters, and they're guys. So things are cool.
That, I think I would speak for you, Szoke, was as authentic, as real, and as enjoyable a Charlotte Touchdown Club interviews we've ever had.
It really is. And Joe, we appreciate you. We covered a lot of ground in like about 30 minutes with you there, but we appreciate you being genuine and down to earth, and really enjoyed it. When I told people we were going to talk to Joe Namath today, I mean, people talk about goosebumps on their arms. I mean, you're an icon, and you're Joe Namath every day, so you get a lot of people that probably tell you things like that, but you really are a national treasure, and we just appreciate you taking time with us today.
Well, fellas, I promise you I'm thankful every day, several times. Thank you, Lord. I know I'm lucky as can be, and as I said earlier, too, we got to be blessed to be in the right environment. I really believe everything starts at home, and a lot of children out there aren't in the right environment all the time. And even some people can come in from outside and help out. And my family, I made a lot of mistakes and still do make some mistakes, but I thank God again every day, several times.
Come see us if you're ever in Charlotte, and thanks again for being with us on the interview.
Thank you guys for having me, and someday I'll get up there. I would like to do that because, when it's not a COVID situation here.
We'll talk to Sam Darnold, and he'll send you a first-class plane ticket.
Well, you know what? Old Sam's earning enough. That's pretty good. He's going to lead those guys to some wins, too. I really believe Sam can play well.
Good. We're counting on that.
Yeah, we hope so. Joe, thanks again. Take good care.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
That's awesome. Thank you, Joe. That was terrific. That was a lot of fun. Absolutely. And folks, remember, coming up, we got May 27th. We've got Greg Olson, Luke Kuechly, Thomas Davis in person, May the 27th coming up. Mike Singletary later in the year, Phillip Rivers, and some others. But great to have Joe Namath today.
Yeah, it's amazing. So thanks again to our sponsors. Thanks again to Broadway Joe, John Rocco, Andy, the rest of the gang. For Jim Szoke, this is Mick Mixon. It's been a blast, and we'll see you next time for another Charlotte Touchdown Club. Take care.